everyone, welcome back to A Case of the Jills. Before I get started today, I actually want to just say a quick shout out to the people that are in Texas right now dealing with rebuilding after the really bad hurricane that they had last week, and also to all of my friends and followers that are in Florida right now bracing for impact. I'm gonna leave a link below where you can donate to the rebuilding efforts in Texas. My platform is nowhere big enough to have an impact, but just in case anyone is watching and hasn't already given a few dollars, please do so. Okay, so today I actually wanted to address a few questions that I've been getting lately. I want to mention that none of the questions that I'm gonna answer today are actually in the book of frequently asked questions that you can get on caseofthejills.com. This is all new stuff, so we're gonna hit a few topics together. Okay, one of my girls who just got her period back recently asked me about what she should expect for how long it will take her next period to come in the months ahead. This is a really great question, and it is one that I had absolutely no information about when I went through this process. So I'm just gonna give you my side of it, and from the research that I have done, it can sometimes take a few months for your cycle to actually get regulated. A normal period is between 21 and 35 days. Your results may vary, of course, in the first few months when you've just gotten it back. Obviously, there are a lot of fluctuations, and it's totally, I think, normal to expect abnormal cycle lengths at the beginning, for sure. My periods at the beginning were anywhere between 28 and 42 days. That 42 days was, I think, because of jet lag. I went to Italy, and it was, it's a 6-hour difference, and it did take me a few extra days to get my period that month. That didn't happen ever again after that, but I definitely attribute it to the stress of kind of like the travel and the jet lag. With this, you may find that your periods return to a similar cycle length as you had before you lost your period, or it might be something completely new, so be prepared to expect anything. I will say that if your period falls far out of that guideline between 21 and 35 days, this could suggest that you might have some improving to do with regard to your recovery efforts. And you know what I mean by that. Maybe you're just exercising a little too much. Maybe you're not doing so well on the nutrition side of things. You know what you need to do. So if your period is way short or way long, just take a look at your situation. And just to complete that thought, it's considered normal to have 9 or more periods in a calendar year. So if you find that you have less than 9, that could also signal a problem. Oh, and lastly, typically you will bleed between 2 and 7 days. Again, if you fall too far outside of that zone, again, an area for improvement. Next question number 2, came from a girl who is starting her cross-country season this year, and she still hasn't gotten her period back despite taking 3 months off of running this summer. And she's very young, and she asked me, given my age, so cute, I loved that, given my age, do you think that I can start running again and expect to get my period back? I love this question because it's like, my ovaries are so young and fresh, they're just gonna pop those eggs out no matter what I do. Meanwhile, mine are like limping along on crutches. Come on, squeeze one more out. I can do it. It's a great question, and I like where you're going here. But the truth is that unless I'm totally wrong, and please correct me if anyone watches this and has data that is opposite of what I'm gonna say right now, your age has absolutely nothing to do with your sort of hormonal resilience, let's call it. The younger you are, it doesn't seem to be any easier for you to get your period back despite your activity level. There are people that have been able to get their periods back without completely eliminating exercise at both ends of the age spectrum, myself included. As you've heard my story a million times before, I did not stop running completely when I did get my period back. That was really stupid, but that's another story. Also, there are very young girls and much older women that have stopped exercise completely. And again, none of this stuff has anything to do with the time that it's gonna take your body to figure out that it's not in trouble and give you a period. The next question I got this week is from a girl concerned about hair loss. I totally understand this. I went through this. You have seen me talk about my weird baby hairs, which are maybe controlled today. I don't want to wake the beast up, so I'm gonna just not pull them out so you can see them. But I definitely had a ton of hair loss across my hairline, and it did come back. This is normal. This is your body's way of turning off non-essential functionality to conserve calories, since you are underfueled. So definitely expect your hair to grow back once you get your period back and everything is in order, that's for sure. She asked me if I could recommend taking any vitamins, and honestly, I think the Kardashians have this covered. I'm pretty sure that they have some hair supplements that they support. You can go ahead and check out what Chloe has to say about this. Anecdotally, people have done things like take prenatal vitamins or look for vitamins with biotin in them and all that stuff, and it's supposed to help your hair and your nails. If you've talked to your doctor about taking any additional supplements and it's not going to be harmful to you, go ahead and try it. The next question is actually another really, really good one. You girls are so smart. The question actually came from someone who doesn't suffer from amenorrhea herself, but her running partner does. She wrote to me to tell me that her running partner over the last few years has gotten really thin. She's really obsessive about eating. She runs so much. She lost her period about a year ago. She hasn't gotten it back, and her behaviors have become increasingly alarming. So she reached out to me to ask what might be a good way to broach the subject with her friend. This is a real tough one. Usually with situations like this, people have to be kind of ready to hear things. Your suggestion to them that they look into this situation in their life, though well-intentioned, may fall on deaf ears. If someone had stopped me back in the day and said, hey, I really think you need to look into this problem, chances are I would have seen that as some kind of encouragement that I was headed in the right direction. How messed up is that? I know how messed up it is, but I'm just being honest. So while I admire the idea of wanting to help your friend, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying that your friend is going to have to discover that she has an issue for herself. One of the ways that you can do that is to suggest that your friend maybe take a look at some of the videos on this channel, or direct her over to my blog or many of the other websites and YouTube channels that deal with this subject. Although I probably would have been apt to ignore a well-meaning friend. If I had watched a video that resonated with me or made some kind of sense, chances are I would have found that harder to ignore. The videos with Addie, I think, are really great at this because they're just so real and raw. So maybe send her those. I'll leave the link down to the series of videos with Addie below so you can check those out. So the last question I wanted to talk about today came from someone who had amenorrhea. She got her period back, and now post-recovery, she is looking to reclaim some athletic ability. She was a former triathlete and, like many of us, is struggling with her sense of self and identity and even her direction now that she is not able to compete at the level that she used to. I know that so many of you watching this can empathize, and while we're going through this process, I know a lot of us can recognize that we needed a rest, we needed to get away from our sport. When you're on the other side and you got your period back and now you're recovered, there's a lot of like anxious sort of energy of like, when can I get back? When can I be that person again? So she asked me what kind of goals I think would be realistic for her post-recovery. So here's what I'm gonna say about that. After, I'm a year and a half now into recovery. I totally did the same thing. Soon after I recovered, I went right back into training for ultramarathon. I was still hanging on to this definition of myself, and it was really hard for me to let it go. In the last year, I have spent so much time thinking about what is good about me, what I am proud of about myself, and who is the person I want to become. I have to recognize that no longer training for ultramarathon frees up not only time in my day, but also space in my life, mentally and emotionally, to focus on achieving things that are on the outside of sport. I'm never not going to be a runner. I'm never not going to go out and do a few miles. And after all this time of recovery, I can comfortably do that. But my priorities in terms of self-identification have definitely shifted. I would say to the girl who asked this question, you've already proven that you are a great athlete. You have already proven that you have the ability to train for and compete in some really incredible events. Now, what else you got? I'm not saying that your sport isn't important. Of course it is. But that's not the only interesting thing about you. I am 100% certain that running is not the only interesting thing about me. I think a lot about the kind of legacy, if you will, that I want to leave behind myself. What do I want that to be? For a time in my life, I wanted it to be Jill the ultra runner. My approach to everything at that point was really, really small. My mindset was small, my emotions were narrow. Pretty much everything about myself was laser focused on one goal, not leaving much for the things and people around me. So, I've gone back to graduate school. I'm 100% certain that I never would have had space for that, not even cognitively, because that's a whole other issue of what cognitively I could have handled while I was in the throes of all this training in amenorrhea, but emotionally and just lifestyle and just everything, physically, mentally, every cell of my being pretty much couldn't have handled this a couple of years ago. I guess I'm just trying to say that you, whoever you are watching this video right now, you're incredibly talented and brilliant and smart, and you have so many qualities that don't require you to put running shoes on. So if you're asking what goal you should focus on after your recovery, I would ask you, what goal shouldn't you focus on after your recovery? Go out there and do whatever it is that you can do to make the world a better place. And if that seems too daunting, just go out there and do whatever you can to make your little world a better place. So if you haven't already noticed, there's some pretty awesome personal stories on the blog these days. You can see them all at acaseofthejills.com. I truly hope you go over there and read about the brave ladies who have decided to share their stories. I just want to say thank you to all of those of you who have written to me and left comments encouraging me, and again congratulating me on going back to school. I really appreciate it very much. Statistics is not killing me yet. I tried to like bring my camera with me and try to vlog or, you know, show you what I'm doing during my day, and it's like so mind-numbingly boring that I actually haven't edited any of it and put it together, but I may do that at some point. Thank you so much for following me on Instagram. You can find me there at acaseofthejills. You can email me anytime, acaseofthejills@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out the free preview of the full ebook of FAQs on the website now. I hope that wherever you are, you have a safe end to your week. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon.